So I'm at a fun but also scary point of the Sofa 4.0 development process. So I just shipped out a new beta. I'm actually on beta. That was beta number 21, and it's the last set of like new things that are coming to the app for this specific release. So from this point forward, it's all bug fixes and polishing and stuff like that, which means that I'm getting very, very close to shipping this thing. And as I'm recording today, it's April 5th. And I'm hoping in April I can ship this thing, hopefully. But now I'm starting to shift my focus to getting ready to launch this thing. And there's a lot I like to do for this stuff. But the things I'm working on now are updates to the website. And this has actually I've been doing this for, most of the morning. And this has actually been pretty nice because, I've been working on this specific release since June of 2023, and now it's April of 2024. And I haven't taken many moments to like step back and really observe and like think about everything that is coming in this release and all the new stuff and how I talk about it. I did that a little bit when I shipped the kind of like pre-announcement or the teaser announcement. But now I'm going through the website and there's a lot of images I have to update. There's a lot of copy I have to update or things I need to remove because there's a lot of new stuff here. And the only thing is I literally have to update like every image and screenshot, and I'll have to do that for the App Store too. But what are you gonna do? But one of the things that's making me think about is basically like, how do I segment the features and how do I decide what is a paid feature and what is a free feature, what is baked in. Now, when it comes to figuring out like what's paid versus what's not paid, especially with software, you want to factor in, are there certain things that cost money to actually maintain and have people use? Those types of things, you definitely want them, I would charge for those things. But then there's things that are, I guess, like if you want to be cynical about it, they can be kind of arbitrary. Like you're just kind of picking and choosing what is paid versus not. But at the end of the day, you have to charge for something, right? Like all this software cannot be free. I can't do this for free forever. Right? You have to kind of charge for this stuff. So the way I'm thinking about this is, and this is really based on a lot of stuff that I've learned from how people use Sofa, is for the basic functionality of Sofa and using it. So the basic functionality within there is you want to add stuff into Sofa, and then you want to organize that stuff or review that stuff at different times. So for adding stuff, you can add via any of the different APIs that I have or data sources. But then in this new version, you can literally add anything, right? So if you're on a website, you can hit the share sheet and add stuff. And then part of that is being able to create your own categories. Now, this is something that I was thinking about, like, maybe I give people a few categories for free, maybe like one or two, and then you have to pay for more. But the more I thought about it, I didn't want to put restrictions on the things that people can add into Sofa. So custom categories are just going to be free, and you can make as many as you want and then add as much stuff into Sofa as you want. And this is in line with, I don't put any restrictions on the number of lists you can create or the number of groups you can create. So the kind of basic experiences, you can create as many lists as you want, as many groups as you want. You can add as much stuff as you want. And now you can create custom categories and as many of those as you want. So you can add anything into Sofa, basically anything into Sofa. Now for the things that are paid, that's the kind of stuff where I'm seeing that more as the stuff that is more customization, kind of maybe the slightly nerdier stuff, but the things where it takes that basic Sofa experience and then really layers on additional flexibility or even more customization that maybe most people don't care about or don't need or don't want or haven't even thought about. But there are people who really want that stuff and really love it and will pay for it because they find the value of it to be that high. So for things like custom ingredients, which are coming, that is going to be a paid feature, fully paid, and also smart lists as well, because smart lists are, if you're just kind of using the basic sofa experience, a smart list, you may want to create a smart list, but smart lists really come into their own when you're using things like custom categories and ingredients. And you can really make smart lists for kind of anything. But with those kind of things, it really brings out a lot of power. And that's going to be kind of the two main things that are going to be bundled into the Super Sofa plan. So you have create your own ingredients and then smart lists. So basically, to kind of sum this up, the way I think about this stuff is the basic use and organization and adding things into Sofa, that experience is going to be free. And so when I add new features in the future, or if I'm just thinking about these features now, the kind of stuff that's more geared towards that is just free and just part of that basic experience. And then anything where there's additional customization or additional flexibility, or even things that are maybe a little bit nerdier, that's the kind of stuff that will be bundled in the subscription. So like I said, all this stuff is like kind of arbitrary and kind of made up, and each product and company will determine what that line is, or kind of like their guiding principles for this stuff. But this is how I'm thinking about it, is that core Sofa experience will always be free, and then you kind of layer the fancy stuff on top of it. I'm getting very close to being able to submit this to the App Store for a review. And that's always like the wild card here, because like I have a rough date. I went on the calendar and I kind of plotted out 2 dates of like, okay, this is the launch date I want. This is a backup if something happens. But I need to submit to the App Store for review, and I have to wait until that gets approved before I can like officially say like, okay, yes, this is the launch date, which does make it more challenging to plan and like coordinate with, say, reaching out to the press, and just kind of communicating a launch date. That factors, the App Store review does make that more challenging. So. But hopefully all that goes smoothly and there's no major revisions that I need to make. It's finally warm here. Windows open. Kitty cat, windows open. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Oh. She heard me. What's she gonna say? Where's she at? Where's she at? Look at that. I'm going to be going. WWDC. I'm doing some final testing, and I noticed that the scrolling on the homepage was a little jittery, a little laggy. And I personally have a lot of lists and groups and stuff like that, like probably 80-ish lists. I do that I kind of have a bunch of collections, but then I do a lot of testing too, so which is probably more than most people are going to have. But I was noticing that there's just like this choppiness in the scrolling, and it was driving me a little nuts. So when I investigated, I found out that Swift UI was the cause. So basically, there's 2 new cells on the home screen that I was using as part of iOS 16, you can now use Swift UI as part of like a collection view cell. And for the logbook and pinned items, since those cells were, a slightly more complicated UI wise, that, making them in Swift UI just made sense because I was able to do it very quickly and kind of get it working. But I found out that basically rendering that, even though there's only 2 cells, that was causing choppiness in the scrolling. So, I would scroll to the bottom and then scroll up. And then as I got to those views and those cells were coming back into view, it would
just start to like jitter, and it kind of sucks. So now I'm in the process of rebuilding those views in UIKit, and I just finished the pinned items view, so I'll be doing the logbook view next. But it's just it's something where like from a performance perspective, and when I'm really talking about performance, I'm really thinking about scrolling. Like when you're just scrolling a lot of stuff, every time I've tested SwiftUI, and I use SwiftUI in a couple different views with longer lists, the scrolling performance just isn't very good, especially compared to UIKit, where you can get scrolling to be very fast and very smooth. So I'm taking SwiftUI out of those cells and just going back to UIKit for that. And honestly, like, I really hope now, WWDC is coming up, and I really hope to see like good performance improvements with SwiftUI, because it is so nice to use and to build stuff with. But if scrolling just isn't smooth, it just kind of hurts.
So one of the last things I'm going to be adding, improving for this release is onboarding. And essentially how it works now, when you install Sofa for the first time, I give you a few starter lists. So it'll say like movies to watch, books to read, those kinds of things. But there's no content in there. There's just empty lists. And I've been thinking about, I know there's problems with the onboarding experience and people getting started because there's nothing there except for lists. But I don't want to just create this like very over the top and robust like onboarding workflow. I don't know how effective those are, and I don't want to invest in building something like that without understanding things a little bit better. So I'm thinking of ways that I can make this, to improve this without being too heavy-handed. And there's kind of two things I'm thinking about here. One is, since I already give you starter list, well, what if I fill those lists with some starter content, right? What if I add some movies into the movies to watch, or if I add some books into the things to read list, that kind of stuff. And then the second one is really one of the kind of primary actions to kind of get people started is to add stuff. So, with Sofa, there's a big plus button at the bottom. And one thought I have is like, maybe I just draw a little more attention to that. Maybe I just add like a little tooltip or something right above it to kind of guide people to, hey, press this button and start adding something. And then they can add whatever they want. Now, between these two options, I think the second one is something I'm definitely going to do, the little tooltip, because that's pretty easy to do. But the first one, we're adding starter content to lists, I'm a little more hesitant to do that because like the stuff that you save into Sofa is very, very personal, and whether it's different books or movies or video games or whatever, and I feel like there's just like a lot of room for error here, where I'm essentially making decisions about what things to put in there, but I don't know anything about the people who are going to be looking at this thing. And what if I put movies in there that they're just completely uninterested in? They're just like, what is this? This sucks. So I'm kind of like, maybe I just leave it empty and let them fill it, and understand that that's still a gap that I can potentially solve in other ways in the future. So I think for now, just doing a tiny improvement of adding a little tooltip above the big plus button to get people to say, okay, hey, you're in here. The first thing you should do is just start adding stuff. That actually might be the best option here. All right, so actually instead of a tooltip, the big plus button, when you first launch this thing, say you've never used it before, you don't have any data in here, it'll actually have a full label, and it'll say add something, very big, almost like obnoxiously big. And then after you add at least one thing, this will convert back to just a simple circle with a plus button in it. That actually might be okay. Look at how cute. I mean, come on. So frickin' cute. Hey, so the past couple of days has been a lot of bug fixes, polishing, that kind of stuff. Beta testers being very helpful, which has been great, really nice. So the app's feeling good. I feel confident about what's there, and I'm at the point now where I need to submit it for App Store review in the next couple days. And there's always like that little bit of anxiety that comes with a bigger release like this, where you're like, okay, I think I am aware of all the bugs and the bad bugs, and I think I've fixed them. And, there's a bunch of people beta testing, so you hope that that helps kind of cover your bases with everything. But in my head, I'm always in like disaster mode, where, okay, what is the worst thing that could happen here once this thing is released? And, I think I've put in enough safeguards and backups and stuff like that so that if anything bad were to happen, it would be okay. I'm sure other developers feel like this too. I'm sure it's actually pretty common to release something that's, a larger release. There's always that anxiety that comes with it, but you gotta fight through that fear. So anyway, so I have a lot of launch prep I've been doing, and I just finished some like final copy edits for the website. And it's funny. It's all with the website stuff. Sofa is small enough where I could probably, even if I don't release the app for like, a few weeks, I could probably just like push all the website updates out, and it's not really a big deal. It's not like I'm this huge company like Apple. There's, just like, it's small enough where I can kind of do things and make it easier on my like production schedule, where I can just be like, I'll just make it live and it's fine. And if someone wants to email in saying like, hey, is this thing out yet? I can just say, not yet, soon, right? So that is nice and helpful. But along with the website, yesterday I worked on the press kit and getting that all kind of up to snuff. The press kits, I've been slowly moving. I've been using Notion for a lot of stuff over the years for various things that I need to share with people, pretty quickly. I used to keep a lot of the beta stuff on Notion, and the press kit's still on Notion. But I've slowly moved all that stuff over to the website because I just think it's like nicer to have it like in the actual website instead of like linking out to Notion. So the press kit is the last thing that's still on Notion, and it's going to stay there for now. I'm not like, it's not an emergency to get it off, and for my priority right now is to release this thing, and working on moving the press kit over to the website, that I can do that later. It's not really a big deal. So I use Notion for a lot of stuff. It's very helpful, very easy to get going. But I do eventually want to move the press kit to the actual website. I think that'll be just a nicer experience for everybody. So for the remainder of my week, I'm doing more testing, listening for beta feedback from people, checking, if there's any crash logs. I'm going to start reaching out to the press, and it's always tricky to kind of coordinate the reaching out to the press and like the actual release date, because I'm going to submit to the App Store, and I always try and give at least a week before a deadline, before like the release date, before I submit. But like I like to do it, I really prefer to do like 2 weeks, just in case, the app gets rejected and I need to fix stuff or whatever. It just gives me a little more leeway.
But it always makes it a little bit like strange reaching out to the press, because I'm like, hey, I have this soft launch date. It's going to be this day, but it's not fully confirmed. And so there's just multiple back and forth with me and people in the press, which is probably fine. But I would prefer to just have all that stuff locked in and then said, hey, this thing's coming out on this date. Here's all the information you need about it, if you want to cover it, that kind of thing. So, but what are you going to do? That's the way it goes. The other thing is, when reaching out to the press, I try and reach out to as many people as possible. And most people don't respond over the years, and that's fine. I don't take any of that stuff personally. I would imagine people in the press just get crushed with emails and DMs about all types of stuff. So I don't take it personally at all. I also don't, if someone has covered SOFA before, I don't expect them to cover SOFA again. I never just assume that's going to happen. So anytime I reach out, I'm always try and act like it's the first time, and just be as nice and friendly as possible, and succinct as possible, and kind of give them the information they may be interested in, with all the links and info that they may need, and then kind of go from there. So hopefully all that stuff goes well as I get ready for this launch. So I need to take some pictures for marketing assets for the upcoming release. And in the past, I have done kind of like Photoshop renderings of stuff to put them in devices and everything. But as I get more into photography, it's a good excuse for me to practice this stuff. And I've taken photos in the past for SOFA, and I actually find it to be kind of hard, because it's like product photography, but the product isn't a physical product. So I'm always taking pictures of the phone and of the screen, and I'm always trying to think of like better ways to do that are more interesting. So I'll show you what I'm doing now. So basically what I'm doing is I've kind of rigged up this little scene where I have this kind of flat lay board that looks like wood, and then I put a bunch of stuff around it, and I'm going to do different scenes. So like right now I'm showing like the details for that magazine, the frame lines. So I have like, camera next to it. There's a lens over there, that kind of stuff, just to kind of give it a good, good theming essentially for it. But when I initially did it, I kind of put the phone directly on the magazine, but there wasn't really enough depth there. So basically I'm using a little boom pole and with a bunch of little extensions, and I'm just laying the phone flat on on actually like a tripod head. So it's just laying flat there. So then when I take the pictures, there's a lot of separation between the phone and then the stuff in the background. So the stuff in the background really is just like adding flavor and color to it. And then the actual device is the center of it. And then I just have everything weighed down with some sandbags so it doesn't move. I tried a couple other things, but it was like too high. I didn't have a tall enough ladder to actually get up high to do it. So I was trying to look for something to do it lower. This is actually working pretty good. Okay, so that setup was working pretty good, but I couldn't get a full shot of, I wanted to get the full phone, not just like the top part. And obviously you were going to see the pole that was connecting to it. And in like Lightroom or Photoshop, I can remove it. But when I started thinking about it, I'm like, oh, there's probably a simpler way to do this. And there is. I literally just use a box. Like, duh, Jesus. I'm sure actual photographers, if you're watching this, you're probably like, yeah, dude, just use a box. What the hell's the matter with you? And if you look, this actually looks pretty good. Let me try and control this. Yeah. That's actually pretty good. And, you kind of see the shadow of the box, kind of. But I actually think this works pretty well for what I'm trying to do. And I don't have to take out the friggin' pole. So I'm currently in the process of uploading SOFA 4.0.
to App Store Connect and then to submit it for app review. So things are feeling solid with the app. There's no major crashes happening or major bugs or anything like that. And as I'm recording this, so it's Saturday, April 20th, and my planned launch date is Tuesday, April 30th. So my idea is that I'm going to submit it today, which is Saturday. And then hopefully that's enough time where app review can go through it, and should give me enough time that if there's any things I need to resolve or it gets rejected for some reason, I can make those adjustments fairly quickly and then resubmit. But ideally, I get through in one pass and then we're good. And then I just set it to manually release, so it won't release automatically. I just manually set that. I always get like anxious about this stuff, especially like this is a very big release. There's so much new stuff, and there's the getting through the app review piece, which, it's easy to forget little stuff. I'm pretty sure I have everything I need. That I don't think there's anything in there that app review would have an issue with, but you never know. But I always get a little anxious with this. So there's like the initial anxiety of app review. It's like, okay, get through that. And then there will be the additional anxiety of actually releasing it to the public, which is like a little wild. But this is good. I'm going to go run a couple errands, and hopefully over the next couple of days, this gets reviewed and approved.
Okay. Oh, Monica's saying hi. Hi. So it's Sunday, and yesterday I submitted to app review probably around actually, what time did I do that? It's like maybe around 2 o'clock, something like that, on Saturday. And now it's Sunday morning, and I woke up to an email that the app is approved. So I went to review at 8:03 a.m. and was approved at 8:52 a.m. So, nice. That was actually faster than I was expecting. I kind of thought, that's the weekend, I'll just put it in. I thought maybe Monday or Tuesday it would go into review, but that's solid. Nice, really quick. Okay, so that's done. So that pressure's gone, which is good. So now, the next couple of days, I'll just kind of monitor. Can you hear that coffee? So next couple of days, I'm just going to monitor for any show-stopping bugs. Like, I may still learn about bugs, but I can kind of collect those and put them in a 0.0 release. So just the next couple of days, look for any show-stopping bugs. And then as long as things are good, then we're kind of locked in for the launch date.